Hi everyone, Jim Benson here from Modus Institute and Personal Kanban, and just got finished making a class, or if it ever will be finished, on having better meetings, how to throw a better meeting, how to work with people effectively. And that was kind of what I discovered in the course of making this video was that emails are meetings. They're asynchronous meetings. Me stopping by and asking you a question, that is a very small meeting. And then we've got great big meetings, which take a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, 2 or 3 days. And those are scheduled usually throughout the day. So they're interrupting our days. And we have a lot of bitches about these meetings. And the first bitch is just that there's too many of the meetings. There's way too many of them. They happen constantly. Like 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and they're all not all, but they're often boring. People just telling us stuff, giving us information. There isn't really an opportunity for us to like get in and talk or participate, and we have to just sit and soak it up, right? Which is not the highest and best use of our time. And there's a person of authority, whoever threw the meeting or a boss, just up there rambling on about whatever it is. So you get 40 minutes of background in a 1 hour meeting. Your work is interrupted. So you're on a roll, you're working, and then you have to get up and go to this meeting. And it's like filled with people, so that even if you could talk, there's like 12 people in the room. So what? You'd get at most 8 minutes in like the most ideal of situations. So you're sitting there quietly, trying to figure out what's going on because the goals of the meeting are often unclear and people kind of meander back and forth. And sometimes that's okay, but not all the time. And, we need to stop bitching about this. We need to recognize that getting together and meeting is how work actually gets done. We just need to do it smart. We need to have huddles where we talk to each other every day and we figure out over the course of the day what's going to happen. That will kill 2 or 3 meetings right there. Just getting together and focusing as a group in a huddle will kill meetings for the rest of your day, all the time. Every time. I've seen it happen millions of times. The second, routine meetings, most of them can be automated. You can get a report. You can have a dashboard. You don't have to have all these meetings. You just need to have meetings when you need to work together, when you need to actually do something, to get some real work done. So, failure demand is a real thing. Most of our meetings are us talking about bugs or defects or angry clients or whatever. We end up spending most of our meetings not building new stuff, but fixing the shoddy stuff that we've already made. So how can we proactively, if I might use that word, how can we go back and make sure that those failures don't happen, and then we can avoid the meetings? Because right now what's happening is we have a meeting to talk about what we're going to do. We go and we do it. While we're trying to do it, we're having a bunch of meetings about how the last thing we were working on failed. We're distracted. We come back. We don't do well in this thing. Then we have a bunch of meetings about this thing. Then we have a bunch of meetings to talk about how we have all of these meetings. So this is like this cascade, this failure cascade that we get into. So there's a couple of ways in the class and in Modus Institute as a whole that we talk about getting through this. But literally, there's dozens of specific ways that we can work together that make us not have to have crappy meetings, but actually just work together to get stuff done. And strangely enough, working together, if you actually complete something, is kind of fun. So the first thing is looking at our work when it's done. So these tasks have been completed. They're all done. And right now we're measuring these tasks for professional satisfaction. And so we have things that we liked doing, or things that we feel satisfied with, things that we're just kind of okay about, yeah, it's done, whatever. Things that we're unhappy with, and things that we're downright like professionally offended by having to finish. And basically, the closer that you get to a deadline, the more likely you are to have the tasks down here. Because those tasks end up being done to satisfy the deadline. They're not actually done. They're not actually complete. We just rushed to get them out. And then what does that mean? That means that shortly afterwards, we're going to have a meeting about this. And then we're going to have a meeting about this. And we're going to have a meeting about this. And we're going to have a meeting about this. And those meetings are awful. we hate having those meetings. And so when we think about meetings after that, we think about this. We think about the pain that we're getting together and talking about. And so what we can do is two things. One is, all right, so let's say I'm completing this task and it's done and I'm moving it into here and I say, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to finish this task, and it might be late, might miss the deadline, but it can end up here or here, and we'll know if it's somewhere up there, then it doesn't have, we'll just say, as many defects, right? We can start to look at tasks down here, and we can start to say things like, why do these kinds of tasks always end up here? Say, well, we don't have enough information up front about doing them or something like that. Well, then we can get that information, we can change how we get our work, and then all of a sudden those tasks start to appear up here. And then we avoid all these meetings, right? Because these meetings are punitive, they're crap, they're terrible, right? So, second thing, let's say we're about to do our work. And we say, all right, I've got a bunch of tasks coming up, and these tasks here are just me. That's just me. These tasks are me and my team. These tasks are tasks where I or my team need help from somebody else outside the team. And these are tasks that directly collaborate with other teams. Okay, why is that important? Because all of those things, all of those relationships, my relationship with my team, our team's relationship with people outside the team, and our relationship for things that we're actually directly building, that shows us the collaborative weight of the tasks, which shows us how much we'll actually need to talk or work with other people. And so what we can start to do is say, hey, you know what? I'm about to start on this task. I know that I need to work with Tony Ann on it. I'm going to make sure two things. One is that when I start working on it, that she's available for questions, or that she's available to actually come work on it with me so we can get it done faster. Okay? We've just avoided having meetings about how I didn't do it right because we've gotten together and done it right the first time by respecting the task and respecting each other. Down here, we have things where our team needs help from other teams. We do the same thing. We contact them ahead of time and say, we're about to start this. Can we stop by and ask you some questions, or could you be available for us to interact with you? Or I'm about to start working on this. Can we come talk to you about this ahead of time? And then maybe the help we get before we even start working on the task. So we start the task actually knowing what we need to do. Crazy, I know, right? Down here, tasks where our team directly needs to work with another team. How does this usually happen? We do our stuff, we send it to them to do their stuff, and then we have a bunch of meetings about how the work that we gave them doesn't agree with what they need, or what they gave us back doesn't agree with what we needed, right? So we want, again, to say up front, hey, we're about to pull this task. It's a directly collaborative task. Could we schedule 2 hours as a group, and we'll all get together and we'll knock this task out. We'll completely do it. But in those 2 hours, we will avoid all those meetings about planning the work, doing the work, arguing about the completed work, fixing the work, right? So what we need to do is not avoid meetings, what we need to do is be smarter about how we meet. Um, this can come about in your daily work as well. So I'm getting this thing done, right? And then when it's done, I either just finish it and I don't care about it, or I finish it and I might want to talk about it later in the retrospective with the team where we get together and discuss how things have gone over the last couple of weeks, which you should be doing. Or if this was really bad, I would like move it to here and I would say, hey, right away, like hopefully today, we need to talk about this because that's how badly this went. And there are other things here where if we start working on it, they're going to go that badly too if we don't solve this problem right now, right? So problem solving, whether it's regularly scheduled like a retrospective or whether it's dealing with an immediate need, those are also meetings, but they have avoided releasing bad product. They have kept us mindful of what we need to improve in the future to improve the product, or they've right now allowed us to both put out a fire and ensure that future fires will not occur. There are, like I said, there's in Modus Institute as a whole, this is the stuff that we talk about, but there is a direct relationship between the work that we do, the way that we respect each other, and the amount of meetings we end up having. So all those crappy meetings that you are forced to sit through, you can change that. You can change that by better managing how you work every day, how you relate to your team, how your teams relate to other people, and how all those groups relate to the customers. It's actually not hard, but it does take some effort. So hope to see you all at Modus Institute. There's a wonderful subscription there that is not that expensive. And we in the community dive deep into making work better.